disebabkan kebanyakan peniaga ayam kehabisan stok awal jam 7 pagi dan paksa menutup awal peniaga.
As we know, agriculture sector in Malaysia has contributed about 12% to national GDP and provide job for 60% of the population through turnover exports and job creation in the country's economy. Malaysia is known to have an important sources which are rubber, oil palm and cocoa, on which these sources are a major source of export earns for our economy. However, even though Malaysia rely on these major sources to earn for economic income, Malaysia has faces with national agriculture issue where there are lack of chicken supply. According to the Ministry of Agriculture and Food Industry, issues of lack of chicken supply has been detected in the market since October 2021 last year, when chicken production from local farm did not reach the national requirement. Based on poultry production data by the veterinary department, the average chicken requirement in Malaysia was 62.9 million chickens a month. However, poultry production in December 2021 was expected 61.1 million heads and has not yet reached 62.9 million heads according to actual needs, thus indicating that there is a lack of chicken supply in the market. Now, let's watch the interview on the lack of chicken supply issues.
Harga ayam sekarang ni naik dengan mendadak. Dulu RM7.50, sekarang ni dah RM10 lebih. Nak dapatkan ayam pun susah di pasar-pasar. Kalau nak ayam kena catur pula tu.
Ayam pun kecil. Hari tu saya beli ayam 3 ekor RM66. Selalunya tak sampai harga macam tu. Saya sebagai orang yang tak makan ikan memang tak nak kena beli juga. Saya harap perkara ni tak berlarutan lah.
The first problem that led to lack of chicken supply is climate change. Ministry of Agriculture and Food Industry had identified that climate change are factors influencing agriculture production. Climate change refers to the changes in the Earth's environmental condition. As you can see, Malaysia is known as hot country. However, lately, Malaysia has been faced with rainy season. Thus, it has made Malaysia been faced with erratic weather changes. As a result of that, it has made poultry farmers face challenges in increasing the quantity of chickens. For example, decline in chicken performance. Modern broiler genetics are extremely sensitive to ambient temperature, and around 2 weeks of age, young chicks can regulate their body temperature optimally. Therefore, when the chicks are still 0 to 40 days old, the moderator hot and ideal weather greatly influences the effort to keep the cage temperature constant in a comfortable zone.
The second issue is a war in Ukraine. The Russia-Ukrainian war is a conflict between Russia together with a pro-Russian rebel group and Ukraine that is continuing. There were many impacts from this war as Ukraine produced beef, poultry, among other variants, and ranked it largest exporter of poultry globally. Not only are local customers unable to purchase Ukrainian meat, but global supply chain issues are projected to disrupt production. Besides, wheat is extremely crucial to Moscow since Russia is the world's biggest exporter of the commodity, while Ukraine ranked 4th according to the US Department of Agriculture figures USDA. However, political tension exists between the two countries. It unwittingly encouraged the leaking of the world food supply. In addition, Malaysia is no exception from feeling the sting of the Russia-Ukraine conflict, which is the supplier of chicken feed to Malaysia. The impact on grain, on the other hand, has been a larger surprise. Ukraine is a big producer of corn and wheat, both of which are used in poultry feed. Restocking will suffer because of supply chain interruption. With a critical source of worldwide supply shut off, poultry producers are in a lot of pain since those components make up most of their costs in raising bird. Next, the third issue is China lockdown. In China, lockdown has had a major impact in livestock agriculture due to its limitation, limited to importing animal feed, apart from the problem of a shortage level. The travel ban that have been enforced by most countries have affected delivery of poultry breeding stock. International Poultry Council has also warned that there will be no breeding and hatching if travel restrictions are prolonged. According to the expert in Chinese state media, the shutdown in China provinces have harmed supply chain, with transportation restriction preventing much needed animal feed supply such as soybean meal from reaching the chicken farm. Hundreds of millions of chicken at risk of being wiped out with much of China lockdown due to the virus. The shutdown in several provinces have hit supply chain with transport restriction preventing much needed animal feed such as soybean from getting delivered to the poultry farm. And the last issue is due to the COVID-19. Chicken sellers said under the Movement Control Order (MCO) that they were obligated to sell chicken at higher price due to the supply issues, and then government limitation, higher feed costs, and even the weather. As a result, the price of the chicken changed. Consumer will be outraged if the price of a basic meal like chicken rise owing to increased cost, especially if their source of income has already been impacted by the pandemic. On the other hand, trader and farmer incur an uneven burden when they are forced to pay a greater cost owing to the uncertainty during MCO. As a result, if price continue to rise, the government will not hesitate to impose the maximum price scheme for ordinary chicken.
I will explain the next part, which is impact. The first impact is lack of focus. Due to the COVID-19 outbreak in Malaysia, there are significant impact on global value chain, particularly in agriculture and industrial farm. The pandemic resulted in a severe shortage of chicken. This problem happened due to the shortage of workers in the poultry industry. Bismi Chicken Managing Director Mazlina Kamarudin described the lack of foreign worker as making the chicken supply less and face shortage. Ayam Bismi, which is previously offered 20,000 chicken, now has to be limited to 15,000 to customer. The problem of lack of foreign worker that make the farmers have to reduce the influx of chicken. Entry of foreign worker need to be expedited so that the supply of chicken can be produced adequately. The process, which is seen to be increasingly complicated, hampers livestock operations, causing difficulties in obtaining manpower even though the problem has been voiced to government. The shortage of manpower has caused wages to increase and become in competition with the manufacturing industry as well as other industry. As a result, the production of chicken supplies had to be significantly reduced in line with the shortage of manpower. Next, lack of plantation production. The demand for food is being driven up by a growing global population and changing diet. Climate change is diminishing agricultural yields, lowering livestock output and weakening the nutritional quality of main grain and farms. The climate change affected the production of plant, especially corn, and this situation led to the shortage of chicken. Malaysia depends fully in the importation of corn as Malaysia did not have any corn plantation for chicken feed. The retail price of poultry and other ruminant livestock are expected to be able to be drastically reduced when maize farms are re-established on a large scale across the country. Currently, Malaysia import around 4 million tons of maize worth more than 7 billion ringgit annually because there are no large commercial scale commodity farm in the country. Thus, the shortage of chicken happened due to the climate change. Next, food crisis. War in Ukraine has impacted the food crisis around the globe. The war has cut off supply from Ukraine port, which used to export massive volume of cooking oil and commodities like corn and wheat. The FAO cereal price index was 70.1% higher in March than it was a month earlier, owing to rising wheat and coarse grain price, partly as a result of the Ukraine conflict. Russia and Ukraine collectively accounted for about 30% and 20% of global wheat and maize export over the last 3 years respectively. The shortage of corn due to the food crisis gave negative impact toward the business, especially livestock operation. As we know, livestock operation like chicken need corn for their continuity of their operation. The breeders need corn to feed their chicken. Since the 1980s, when it was highlighted as a critical vulnerability to the nation's food security, the government has struggled with the grain corn output. A commercial trial was done from 1999 to 1992. However, the output was low when compared to the other crops like oil palm, hence it was declared unsustainable. In 1996, the project came to an end because the corn used for domestic poultry feed is no longer farmed on a large scale in Malaysia.
The fourth implication is limited poultry feed. When climate change and pandemic occur, it affects on the growth of corn and soybean. When corn production is not much for the country to export their corn and soybean to the country, they will only keep the resources for their country in order to ensure that their food security is secure. The problem now is that almost 94% of the raw materials and processing chicken feed are imported. Only 6% from the local material consists of rice bran and palm kernel waste. Corn and soybeans are purchased in United States dollar from United States, South American countries and ASEAN countries. The poultry food mostly was depending on the other countries' resources. When issue arise, there are no way to escape the increasing of price and limited stock of chicken. This is because poultry feed accounts for 74% of the cost of production of chicken. This case is not about the poultry farmers who take more profit, but increased production costs cause them to reduce production when feeling stressed due to the increased cost. Poultry farmers had to decide on giving a little grant to their chicken because of the limited sources of grant. First suggestion is there must be a long-term development of corn grain industry in an effort to address the high price of grant and continuous supply. Malaysia needs to seriously expand the cultivation of grain maize. This cultivation cannot be delayed any longer as this issue is related to food supply. Although it takes a long time to production, but in the future our country will no longer need to face the problem of chicken shortage. If Malaysia make this move, we will no longer need to import poultry feed from United States, South American countries and ASEAN countries anymore. Imported poultry feed is very expensive. Therefore, if we realize the effort to grow our own grain corn, it will be more cost effective and convenient in the future because our country does not depend on any country for poultry feed. For example, a young man is determined to plant grain corn. Ramana K. Naidu, 32, now continues to go a long way by successfully producing hundreds of tons of grain maize every season, involving more than 202 hectares of his farm in several states in the peninsula.
Apa yang mengambil hati saya dalam bidang jagung biji ini adalah jumlah import, iaitu jumlahnya adalah sebanyak 3.9 bilion ringgit. So 3.9 bilion dan jumlah nilai beratnya adalah lebih kurang dalam 3.7 bilion metric ton. 3.9 bilion itu merupakan satu jumlah yang begitu besar. Apa yang saya lihat tu pada masa tu cuma nilainya yang begitu besar dan saya cuba nak dapatkan 1% daripada jumlah 3.9 bilion, iaitu 39 juta ringgit. Dan itu menyebabkan ataupun itu menjadi satu pembangkit kepada saya untuk berusaha ke arah untuk mencapai 1% daripada tanaman itu di Malaysia sendiri.
The second suggestion is imposing chicken export restriction. Stopping the export of chicken supply must be based on prioritizing the needs of the people, such as halting the export of 3.6 million chickens per month until chicken prices and production return to normal. Export restriction on chicken supplies can put pressure on those who intentionally limit supply to local. According to Agriculture and Food Industry Minister Datuk Seri Dr. Ronald Kendi, temporary restriction on the export of raw chicken to other countries were imposed to accommodate the dwindling supply of chicken in Malaysia. For example, Singaporeans are concerned about Malaysia's decision to discontinue exporting 3.6 million chickens per month to Singapore starting June 1, 2022. Singapore imports the majority of its food, including chicken supply from Malaysia. One of the concerns is how it will affect the selling of chicken rice, which has become a popular delicacy and is frequently sold in Singapore food court. The third suggestion is repeal of approved food permit AP. AP must be abolished by the government since they are considered as a solution for allowing the market to operate freely in order to promote food security and prevent price increase. Dr. Jeffrey Williams, an economist at University Science and Technology Malaysia, says the government move in withdrawing the AP was correct in terms of price ceiling and market liberalisation in guarantee adequate food supply in the country. He also stated that eliminating the AP was a critical step toward establishing a more open, independent and transparent trade path. As a result of the elimination of AP, there will be less pressure on chicken prices, which will benefit consumers in the short run. If the AP is not re-implemented, it will result in reduced pricing, more product variety and greater quality in the long run. For example, to ensure the country's adequate food supply, Prime Minister Datuk Seri Ismail Sabri Yaakob announced the government's decision not to impose AP for food product with immediate effect. The government decided to eliminate the AP on poultry chicken in order to ensure that the supply could be brought in more by more skilled local enterprise without having to go through the AP approval process. Next, granting of special subsidies to laying chicken farm operator. The daily production of chicken eggs in Malaysia is substantial, ranging from 27 to 30 million eggs per day. The government has been requested to consider offering a special subsidy for laying hen farm operators in order to address the shortage of chicken eggs, which has caused the price of farm produce to rise. According to FLFAM Deputy President Lee Yun Yao, the country's entire laying chicken farm is facing loss as a result of rising feed price and insufficient resources after the COVID-19 outbreak. The government need to provide new hope to laying hen farm operators and ensuring adequate supply as several laying hen farms around the country are in danger of going bankrupt. For example, the Malaysian government has agreed to offer a 90 cent per kg subsidy to poultry producer. At the same time, the cabinet has agreed to pay a 5 cent subsidy for all sorts of chicken eggs. The goal of the subsidy is to relieve farmers' financial burden because of the rising price of food costs. such as logistics, personnel utilities and medications. Not only that, it also to ensure that the poultry and egg business remain viable and runs at full capacity, and ensuring farm-based chicken and egg output is sufficient to meet local demand.
It can be observed that there are various factors that contributed towards lack of chicken supply in Malaysia. This issue of lack of chicken supply need to be addressed. Government should play their vital role in settling the issue, as it can give back effect towards the country and the people. Lack of chicken supply consider that our country is lack of food supply. Hence, if this issue were ignored, thus it will create an economic downturn and also lead to people starve, as agriculture industry are the one that provide the country bearable profits. That's all from us. Thank you.